back to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert with my pal Susan. We're talking about the King Con, the King Convention 2024, first ever in Las Vegas. And Susan, you brought up the variety, and I think that's a good place to jump off on of Stephen King work. What is your background with Stephen King? And when you talk about the variety, what does that mean? Is it an ongoing evolution for you to figure these
My background is almost nil. Uh,
out?
I had absorbed the general uh, uh, gestalt mystique of Stephen King as being horror 30 years ago or whatever, and I haven't been comfortable in that genre, and so I just didn't pick any of them up. I've been amazed at the movies, which I didn't know were his,
Yeah.
based on his stories. Like The Green Mile was a movie I really loved and admired. And Stand By Me, I mean, who would have guessed that was the same guy that wrote so many things that were things that I couldn't bear to watch at all. So I would say my exposure is here, and yes, and exercise, and uh, and also having taken the Shawshank Redemption Hero's Journey course. When I tell people, my friends out in the world, almost everyone says, I love that movie. That's my favorite movie. That's my all-time favorite. It's just amazing how well received it continues to be.
Yeah, I mean it's been on the top, the number one of the IMDb list, I think since 2007, which is insane to be
That's
17 years
amazing.
as the number one all-time film. So there are a lot of people who are insanely behind it. It's my number one film, and yeah,
Yeah,
at any rate,
and you've created this incredible opportunity for your students to discover themselves. It's not
well,
just about a movie.
that's right. That's the point of cinema therapy. The term we keep putting out there is to say, the look, the light shines on the screen shines on the fan. The missing part of it is the fan is actually shining light back at the screen too. There's a conversation. There's a reason why it's your favorite, and that's what we're trying to say. Is that I think that's the reason people go to these conventions. Stephen King was not there. However, Stephen King adjacent people were. One of them was Mick Garris, who is known for a couple of really popular adaptations. He did the first adaptation of It, which is one of Stephen King's most beloved. It was a miniseries on TV. And then he did the miniseries of The Shining, because many people know the very much more famous Stanley Kubrick version is a version that Stephen King absolutely hates. He
Oh
thinks
my.
it's
Oh.
an absolute abomination of the main character, both in how Jack Nicholson portrayed him and what Stanley Kubrick did with the story. So, although it is incredibly powerful, one thing Mick Garris said, I think that was wonderfully generous, was that both things can be true. That basically it can be an incredible, powerful movie and an absolute abomination of Stephen King's novel. And I said, it was so well stated. I so well appreciated Mick Garris saying it that way. Um, and he's a fascinating guy, and he was there, and we got a picture with him. It's not the first time I've met him. I met him once before at another Dollar Baby Festival, but he couldn't be more generous. And he said too, he's been to a lot of things that have like a King area, a convention, either whether it's
Oh.
Comic Con or other things, they might have a room dedicated. But this was the first that he knew of, exclusively King Con. And boy, has the guy earned it. Um, you saw people dressing out, and for those who want to see it on my Facebook page, look it up, Robert Cochran. You can find me. A lot of fun costumes, and I'll put more of them up. We had a ball the last night where people were, out there and looking, doing the Shining picture, the final pose. I missed that because I was so tired. I missed it. I was so sorry not to be there.
Oh.
But gosh, it was just a huge experience. Another actor that was there was a guy by the name of Thomas Jane, who people will know from a couple of things that he's done. The Stephen King, The Mist is Frank Darabont's third film adaptation he did, more of a creature feature. He was the lead in that. And he was in Dreamwalkers, which is a much less thought of Stephen King adaptation. And the host who interviewed him had a good time roasting him about that, because
Oh.
it's a film with an incredible amount of talent. And the story goes that apparently Thomas Jane said they're all at the table read. They, brilliant directors and actors, this, that, and the other. One of whom was Morgan Freeman, just a couple years removed from Shawshank Redemption. And they do the table read, the read through this just beast of a script, 160 pages. Morgan Freeman closes the script and goes, "What the fuck was that all about?"
I love it. Oh my God.
So
Oh
they
my
all
God.
signed on to this movie with the hope that somebody knew what they were doing.
Oh
And if
my
you see
gosh.
the movie, kind of nobody did. I still kind of enjoyed it because it was weird. But it was one of those, and it was just, that's the type of story you get.
Like, yeah, insider gossip almost. That's just really fun. That's really fun. And we're at five, dude.
We are at five, and there's a lot more to give. So we'll be back for the next King Kong Daily Dose. See you in a minute.